Okay, this is gonna be a quick one. I just wanted to basically make a video, kind of for my younger self or anyone who's kind of going through the same things. I used to play a lot of ultimate frisbee back in first year, and I suffered from a abductor strain, or like an overuse injury, where I kind of I couldn't cut or couldn't do changes in directions really quickly. The story about how that happened, I think it's also relevant, perhaps something similar to you. And I wanted to talk about how I rehabbed that. And although I don't play ultimate frisbee as much anymore, I don't feel any pain in my abductors for my day-to-day life, and I can still play. I haven't really gotten into the next phase of rehab, but this is something that video could be helpful for anyone kind of suffering from the same injury. And perhaps what worked for me may not work for you, but hopefully it's helpful. Right, so I'll kind of explain how I got the injury, so maybe it's similar to you and something that you can try. So it wasn't a very like one day was like extremely painful. It was more of an overuse injury, right? I started playing ultimate frisbee back in my first year of uni, or actually no, second year of uni, and I had always been a fit guy, but I hadn't really trained those like changes in directions. I mainly did sprinting, right? So in that case, I was training like no type of cutting or anything like that. I was training around 3 to 4 times a week. I was doing running on top of that, and I was also doing powerlifting, going to the gym. So you can see how my body wasn't really ready to adapt to all of those different changes, right? And it all culminated in, we have this thing called Nats, where we kind of go off against the best schools in the entirety of our country that we're doing it in, right? And the first day of Nats was fun. It was great, but I felt that like my adductors, when I was changing direction, it was kind of painful. But instead of taking time off and resting, obviously it's like the nationals. You kind of have to do what you got to do to win. So I just took painkillers and I kept on going, and then that was fine. I was fine during the nationals, but then the day after, I could not, like, my legs were incredible pain, and that's because I pushed myself to a point where, not a point of no return, but it was incredibly yeah. I definitely went a bit too much, and I had another tournament, I think, the following month, and as I was recovering, I pushed myself again, and I think that really is what set the nail in the coffin, and how I kind of occurred that injury. And ever since then, I haven't been able to play any like type of sport where you're kind of changing directions as well as I could have. Now, with the rehab that I've done, I've kind of gone through a lot of different routes. So I just want to tell you guys what what is kind of the best, or what worked for me. Right. So I first started off by doing, do I have the, okay, I don't have it with me right now, but probably put a picture up around here for it's like a foam roller. And what I did is I did like squeezes with like my hand, like abductor squeezes. I'll put a picture up there on kind of how it looks, but it was like abductor squeezes, and I found that that helped with kind of relieving like short-term pain. And you kind of do that, they say they recommend to do that for like maybe the first week of the injury, if it's like a very acute injury, like if it just happened within like a few days. But I found that that didn't really help me to move back into like actually running, actually being able to cut and being able to do the different things on the pitch, right? So from there, I did a lot of stretching, and I did stretching even before the abductor strain, or before I did the squeezes, but maybe another picture there, right? The issue with stretching is I find that it helped at the start, but when you stretch a lot every single day, I was doing this religiously, it goes to a point where it can actually be more harmful than helpful. Now, I'm obviously not a physiotherapist. I've done medicine, but not licensed in anything. So again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But for me personally, I found that stretching helped, but it wasn't the end all. You needed more active movements, more active stretches. So the main one I did, and the main thing that has helped me, because I did a bunch of stretching, a bunch of different like split squats. I went to a physiotherapist. They said to work on my glutes, bunch of different things. I found that they didn't really help me very much. The main thing that helped me was this thing called Copenhagen planks. Now I'll put up another. This is weird. Put up another picture right there on what they are, and it's a interesting exercise, but I found that if you take anything away from this video, doing the Copenhagen planks, those are like lifesavers because it you start off with like a short lever where I'll put a picture again up there where your knee is kind of on the bench and you're kind of like just holding it, right? So you hold it for like statics, right? And what I did for my progression is I started off with 30 seconds each side and I worked my way up to 1 minute short levers for each side. And then I went on to like full lever. And that's where your whole leg is extended on the bench that you're doing the Copenhagen squats, or not squats, planks on. Now I found that going up to a minute on Copenhagen planks on full lever was quite difficult. So when I got to like 45 seconds, or I could do one set of 1 minute, not like, because I usually did like 3 sets, right? So when I could do one set, I moved on to more dynamic, right? So these are where you kind of you do like short lever or full lever, and you kind of go down and you go back up, get down and go back up. And you do that for sets of 3 and then reps of 20, right? Or you work your way up to 20. And by the time I was able to do that, when I try to play sports again, right, I was able to play like the first hour, 2 hours, like pain-free, like as if I was like back in my prime. Now, after that, I started to feel the pain again. But the interesting thing is because I have this routine where I do it twice a week, these Copenhagen planks in my rehab with stretching. I'll also link a stretching routine in another video. Maybe I'll talk about it if you guys think that's interesting. But the interesting thing is that the time to recover from when I played that one game, because I played like a game of football or like soccer, right? And the time to recover from that was interesting because it only took me like 2 days. Whereas if I played ultimate frisbee before and I was going hard, it took me a week, almost 2 weeks to recover. So my recovery time went down and the time I was able to play went up. So Copenhagen squats, or I keep saying squats, planks are really life changes. I really would recommend to do it if you have any type of abductor strain, or you feel like, your inner groin, it's your inner groin area, right? And I usually do it twice a week, but I think if you want, you would probably start off with like once or twice a week. But once you want to get really back into like playing like properly, I'd say up the frequency maybe to 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, just because like maybe every other day, or maybe 2 days, 1 day off, 2 days, just because I feel like getting that frequency really helps. And then the last thing, I haven't really done this personally, but I would imagine it would help a lot, is by getting onto the pitch and really just practicing your cutting. So like running down and doing like cutting drills, right? Now, obviously not 100% intensity, because, that's gonna hurt if you're not, like, if you go from 0 to 100, but like just practicing those cutting drills, getting those more frequencies, I feel like that would really help. But yeah, main thing is to take away from this video, Copenhagen planks, really great. Also foam rolling, just foam rolling your abductors, your different areas, that helps a lot. Getting like a lacrosse ball. If you guys want, I'll make a more in-depth video kind of going through every single thing, but this is just mainly just on Copenhagen planks because I found that those were the most efficient, most effective. So I'd say start off that, look online, I'll link like a video for like progression and whatnot. But yeah, it's really great for helping your squats, or I keep saying squats, but helping for your inner groin if you had a abductor strain or any overuse injury. Now, as I said before, not a medical professional. Do your research, do your own due diligence, and probably get like an x-ray, get an MRI before you do any of those things, like an ultrasound, to make sure it's not like a hernia or anything like that. But yeah, it's a quick video. Wanted to say how I kind of recovered, and hopefully it can help you guys.